Greetings, YouTube, and welcome to another deal that is unit-based that just popped up in the game, as you can see on my screen, literally 32 seconds ago. And this is the kind of deal that I really love to talk about because it's not cash-based, it's unit-based, and it's something that really is just cut and dry. And the goal of this is still certainly to have this be targeted at more of the beginner and intermediate for the left bundle, and then of course the intermediate to advanced in the right bundle. But just to give you the context of the value of cash in this, because we have 200 units on the left side and 1,200 units on the right side. If we go to here, we can remember that 1,200 units is just slightly below what Black Panther's treasure costs, but you can, of course, get 1,200 units from the Tony Stark's briefcase. So if this was to be a straight cash offer, 1,200 units is just slightly valued below $50, but most likely you would have to spend the $50 to get there. And then 200 units is actually slightly valued below $10 or 275 units for the Star-Lord's loot bag. So for $10 you can get the left deal, and sadly for the right deal, if you don't have any units and you want it, you're going to have to probably whale out to $49.99 to get it. But I like to tell you that unit-based deals are the best. As you can see in the top right of my screen, I have saved up over the course of several months, and even some of the units from July 4th, 22,000 units, because my goal is to not actually have to spend cash or iTunes credit on a deal. So we have this Awakening bundle. You can see, just to do my research, because sometimes this email isn't right when noon hits, but you can see there's only 2 offers today, so I have not missed one when trying to put this out as early as humanly possible. But the one on the left for less than $10 is a really, really solid deal. In fact, we saw something, this week? Was it this week? That was very similar for like $29-30. This is what's so shady and what I don't understand about Kabam. At times, they make people pay like $30 cash for something that, had they known that they could wait a couple more days, they could use 200 units, which is really easy to get if you grind even in 24 hours in the arena. Or, of course, they could have saved, even if they have to spend cash, like $20 of cash. But they didn't know that this offer was coming into the game, so they might have spent their $30 only to find out later that they could have saved $20. So thanks a lot, Kabam. That's a very interesting move on your part. But let's look at this 200 unit value, because this looks to be a very good deal for beginner players especially. Okay, so you've got the generic 3-star Awakening gem, which I love. I love the generic. You don't have to worry about that class-based crystal 1 out of 6 RNG. And then 99 generic Max 6 stones, which again are not class based, so you can apply these to anyone. So if you are somebody who is starting out and you've got a couple of 3 stars that are awakened, but they are a low sig level, I would distribute those 99 Max Signature stones probably to like 2 or 3 stars, preferably somebody like a Scarlet Witch who really gets better. Like a Scarlet Witch and a Star-Lord would be the perfect candidates for those Max Signature stones if I were you. And then you also get 10 Tier 5 basic ISO and 20,000 gold. Not bad. Again, for less than $10 worth of units. I mean, think about it. That normally 200 units gets you two stars from 2 premium disappointment crystals. For the same price, you get to max a 3-star and get gold ISO with it. That's a great deal. I'm going to put that deal for a new player at an A-. Why is it only an A-? Because honestly, for this to be a solid A, given the value of the game, might need to be 100 units instead of 200 units. Now, the right deal is the one that a lot more people are going to be looking at, and that's something that certainly is enticing if you have someone like a Star-Lord or especially a Scarlet Witch that needs to be awakened as a 4-star, and if you don't get one of these gems, chances are you are not going to pull them from a 4-star crystal. I've only pulled Scarlet Witch and Star-Lord like a combined 4 times in, I want to say, like almost 3 years of playing this game as 4 stars, and that was long before, of course, there were over 100 champs in that crystal. Okay, so you get the generic 4-star, and what's really disappointing about this is you only get 46 stones. I wish you got 99. If this was a max 4-star, man, that would be amazing. Now, I realize that signature stones for 4 stars are way rarer than 3 stars, but still only 40. Kind of disappointing. Maybe they could have halved it and given us like 60, but 40 is pretty disappointing. Now, they do give 40 Tier 5 basic ISO, which is certainly nothing to frown upon and then 200,000 gold. Okay, well, that's definitely significant. That's a 10 times amount from the left. Now, of course, it's 1,000 units more, but to get 10 times the gold is pretty significant. So the 4-star Awakening bundle overall is not as good of a value, but it's not a bad value. I would still value it as a solid B. Now, this is certainly a worse value than a B if you don't have a 4-star. Like if you've got mostly Awakened 4 stars that you use and you're using 5 stars, this is not very good because you don't need it. You're dealing with 5 stars and maybe even a couple of 6 stars in your roster, and this might sit in your inventory when you open someone else, but even if there's the next blade, right, you're probably not going to use that champion much except for maybe a little bit in Alliance Quest attack in the arena. So chances are you're just kind of giving 1,200 units away that I would save for one of those 5-star signature stone bundles where you actually get to use those items on the main champs that you use in the game. But if you're an intermediate player, and if you're kind of a beginner to intermediate and you've got the units and you don't have really any god tier awakened 4 stars, you can never have too many generic 4-star awakening gems and signature stones for that matter in your inventory just waiting to be used when you have the right champion. Nothing is a better feeling than pulling a great champ in a crystal and immediately getting to awaken them and bring them up to at least Sig 41 because you know you've got the items. And nothing's worse than thinking to yourself, I'll pass, I could probably wait, and then you don't see something like this come around for months. You don't have the ability, the skill, or the roster to beat the content that's needed to get this normally in-game, which there's only a couple of places in the game that you really can even get this as it is. And you kick yourself because if you just have those 1,200 units, you would have done it. So you know, watching this, what camp you are in. Someone like me would never get this because basically all of my 4 stars are awakened already, but I see the tremendous value that this kind of unit-based deal holds for those that are starting out or even the intermediate players who maybe are around 100,000, maybe even 200,000 rating, and you've still got quite a few 4 stars that you would love to use, especially at rank 5, and you don't have them awakened. So the left bundle, I'm going to put as a solid A-, especially for beginners. You can't go wrong. 200 units is such an unbelievably cheap amount to spend. Again, that's just 2 PHCs. And then the right side, yeah, the 40 signature stones are a lot less than I would like. The difference between 60 and 40 would have made that at least a B+ versus a B, but I still give it a solid value for most players. Certainly if you're me and you're advanced, you're not using 4 stars much anyway, so you're just going to click off this. But for those of you, and you know if you're the guy that's been waiting to awaken that Wolverine, that Star-Lord, that Scarlet Witch, the kind of champs that aren't available as 5 stars, so especially people like Wolverine and Scarlet Witch, you're going to want to jump on this because if you've got the units, it's a no-brainer. The chance of actually opening them up naturally in a 4-star crystal is almost 0%. So you don't want to be that person that is stubborn and then ends up opening like, I don't know, 1,000 more 4-star crystals without actually naturally duplicating that champion because the RNG just isn't on your side. And every month that more champions get added into that crystal, your percentage of opening that champion naturally goes down even more significant, and it's already less than 1%. So I hope this video has helped you decide whether or not you should get this. You know where you stand in the game better than I do, but certainly the beginners to the intermediates, this is who this is targeted at, and it's an amazing value for what you can get if you've got the units. But if you don't have the cash, as always, I say don't waste your money on something that you can't afford. You know what your purchase limit and what you're able to do with your budget. Don't make irresponsible choices in this casino we call a Marvel video game. But at the same time, if you've got the units or you can afford the deal, this is going to make you clear content so much faster, especially if you choose to save that gem for a truly god tier attacker that's a game changer in the game. So thanks for watching, YouTube. I again hope this video has found you well. Happy Friday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend on what is today, the Friday the 13th.